So hey there, fellow wanderer of the web, it's Frank Bush here again. Just thought to do a quick video on the new insulated tent I have. This thing can be set up rapidly. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to set it up. It's really a ice fishing cabin. There's windows and stuff. But like I say, you just pull out all the different walls and the roof and it just all pops into place. Comes in a bag. Like I say, 2 or 3 minutes setup. But I'll show it to you with my lighting system here. And I'll just get in and close up my door. And it's already warmer in here than it is outside, but I've got a full lighting system that I'm running with 4 different lights. It all runs independent, low, off. And then you can adjust them to be like a spotlight or just more as a lamp to fill the room. And this is all running off of a single plugged in USB with the wires come along the roof. It's just a single series run that just clips into the support structure of the tent. This tent is like 6.5 foot tall, almost 8 foot square. It's the size of a small bedroom, if you will. This is the battery bank I built in the previous video. And I'm literally just plugged into a single USB plug. So I still got room to charge a device and that kind of stuff. But as you can see, this amply lights up this entire room to be almost the equivalent of an indoor environment. It's about 14 degrees Celsius outside. It's close to 20 degrees inside just from my body heat and having the doors closed. It really is effective in that regard. I'll show you how dark it is inside this tent. As you can see, it becomes pitch black. We're in the middle of the day outside, so it's really effective at killing all the light. You know, to light up the room was just, like I say, powered all off of just running that lighting system, which is just right off my on-off switch or on each individual light. And then if I don't want to, have to run this all the time, which fair enough, it's got 6 windows in it. I can just pop open these windows. So I'll kind of step back. Let's light into about the halfway point. The half I'm standing in is still fairly dark, but there's 6 windows. There's another door here, so I've got a door on the one side and a door on the other, opposite each other. I've got a window here as well. And I'll just pop open all the windows, show you how bright it can be, just natural lighting. And I'll try to step into a corner and you guys can see. So it's all black on the inside, but there's enough light coming in. It's like daytime in here, if you will. And this is all quilted insulated fabric, so it helps keep you super warm. And hopefully you guys can see the lighting system. This is a gold zero string of lights. I can daisy chain a second set of lights off the USB here if I wanted to. It uses, I think, about 1.5 watts per light bulb. So altogether, it's using 6 watts, a little over an amp. That's a 100 ampere hour battery running at 12 volt. These could easily run for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And like I say, I can adjust each one of them with an on-off switch or just use the main power that's sitting on the battery. I've got ventilation that exists here. So I pop these open and let some airflow happen. And the same on the opposite side. So I pop that open, let some air flow through here, if you will. But these are really designed as kind of ice cabins for ice fishing. And they're insulated to help kind of keep the warmth in. But I see it as you don't really have to just use it for ice fishing. You can use it for, bug out off-grid stuff that you can throw in your vehicle. Like I say, this is easily big enough space where if you had to have 4 people sleeping in here, you could, I think, without an issue. There's pocket meshing here, which is good quality. And even the mesh they put on here, it's all good quality. Stop the bugs from getting in and that kind of stuff. There's a huge pocket that exists on the wall where you can put stuff in to let it dry, and it just hangs on the wall to kind of let the air get at it. And same on the other side, where there's a big air pocket there. that you can, or mesh pocket I should say, where you can let air get at things and dry out your gear and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll pan out to the outside again. I'll just cut scenes and kick over to there. So now you can see I'm just on the outside. I'm gonna close up the door just to show you. There's 2 zippers on these doors, and it's kind of a wind flap to stop the wind from creeping in through the zippers. And it's the same on the door on the other side. It's got this kind of double zippered setup, but it's really sweet in the regards of if I wanted to open this up, because it does get really warm in there. If I wanted to open this up and let air flow through, it's easy enough to just turn around and hook it onto a little Velcro that's got there. It allows this door to just kind of be forced to stay open and that kind of thing. One of the good parts that it has is it's got these grommet holes down on the base. It's got a skirt that runs all along just to stop any breezes from getting in on the other side, which is always a bonus. But then it's got these little grommet holes where you can peg this right to the earth, and they're on all 4 corners. And I'll show you the actual tent pegs, if you will. So these are definitely high quality. You know, they're designed for pegging into ice, but you know, from a bushcraft perspective, these are high quality pegs for sure. You can screw them right down in the earth and just lock them down. So they're good in that regard. And then they come with 6 of those. So generally speaking, I would only put 1 on one corner here and 1 kitty corner on the opposite side. And then I would actually use tie out guy lines and tie on to where these pull out, just to kind of show you. I'll give you an example. In order to collapse this tent, I just push that in, and if you push in all 4 sides and the top, the whole thing just collapses and goes back into a bag. There is no real assembly per se. It's pretty minimal. But in order to avoid anything with high winds, I would want to tie guy out lines onto here, run them off and peg them down to the earth, and do that, like I say, they're on all 4 sides. Where these are the handles you just kind of pull on to pull it out and give the structure rigidity and that kind of thing. But I would do guy lines coming off each of those, just to make sure that even if it was 50-mile-an-hour winds, this thing wouldn't be going anywhere. And I would put the other, peg it to the earth on this side, and then potentially just have 2 more tent pegs where, peg down all 8 points, if you will, and this thing would be rock solid. Like I say, this thing's 6'6", and it's about 7 3/4, almost 8 foot in square dimension at the base of, and it's really these insulated walls. They really are, the cat's meow, if you will, when it comes to keeping the heat in. So I think this will be ideal to throw into the truck and have it for, a vehicle-based bug-out gear. And like I say, the lighting system and all that kind of stuff. I could run the lights, cook food, all that kind of stuff. I talked about that battery box in detail in the previous video, but I could easily use this basic setup for an off-grid shelter to give me a quasi-heated environment with a lighting system. I throw in some cots in there on the ground, and I've got my Mylar cots if you watch previous videos, and they give you insulation from the underside, and I can be smoothing it. This whole setup cost me, with the batteries, the tent and everything, cost me less than $1,000 to acquire. So just to give you an idea of the scope. But I'll cut it here. I'll do full feature videos of this stuff. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a sneak peek of some of the side projects that I'm working on that'll be coming in future videos, yeah? So I thought I'd just kind of do one more quick showing of things. So yeah, I've got that dual 0 string of lights, and I kind of mentioned where you could daisy chain along a light here. I'm just plugging in another USB LED light, and got that sitting right kind of in the center at the top of the cabin, if you will, of the tent. And then I've got the 4 lights to the outside. And this thing's super bright in here. Like I said, it's like I've created a mobile bedroom that's quasi-warmed. And it'll all just drop off the single switch. Or, like I say, I can drop the individual lights just off here and just run that single one off of the daisy chain one I just hooked up. I just run that single one, and it still throws a half decent amount of light in here. It's easy enough to see by. Might be a little strained to read by, but either way, this whole setup is maybe using 10 watts worth of power. Tiny, tiny, tiny amounts of power. And because I've got that 12 volt cooker there, I can easily turn around, plug in my GoSun solar cooker. If you watch previous videos of mine, sun or not, I could plug that into here and could have the capacity to cook for a family of 4 to 6 people. A little 80 watt solar panel be ample enough to kind of keep this thing going. 80, 100 watts, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll cut it here. This was all just to be a sneak peek for future videos. Yep. Cheers.